Welcome to Chick Chat with Unapologetically Karen, the podcast for women by women. I'm Karen Webb, architect, author, entrepreneur, creative junkie, and your host. Chick Chat is your resource for building your big, bold, and beautiful feminine life. So join me for some eye-opening and jaw-dropping dialogue that has people talking. Welcome to Chick Chat. Today's guest is Diane Gilman. She is a force to be reckoned with, reshaping the narrative of aging and challenging societal norms every step of the way. From her early days as a fashion rule breaker to revolutionizing the industry with DG2 Jeans, she's proven that age is no barrier to success. At 78, Diane is just getting started on her third act, empowering women to embrace aging with confidence and vitality. Her book, Too Young to Be Old, shares the electrifying story of her life and the empowering lessons she's learned along the way, from overcoming personal heartbreak to triumphing over breast cancer. Diane's journey is a testament to resilience and self-discovery. Through her podcast, Too Young to Be Old with Diane Gilman, she continues to inspire and educate the 50-plus community on fashion, health and wellness, beauty and skincare, and aging solutions. With her trademark lustrous white hair and fearless sense of style, Diane is a beacon of empowerment, urging women to define their own path and embrace their true selves. It is her mission to show the world how cool aging can be and discover the limitless possibilities that come with living your very best life after 50. Thank you for being here, Diane. So nice to have you.
A pleasure.
Yeah, so that is a good description. Your gorgeous, lustrous hair. It's stunning, by the way.
Thank you. It's a high maintenance issue in my life, but I'm willing to put in the time.
There you go. All the important things usually are, right?
Yeah.
So let's dive in sort of how all this started. Maybe let's start with the DG2 Jeans. Kind of, is that a good place to start?
Yeah, I would say that I had to, anything I wanted to get to in life, I had to overcome almost impossible challenges. And I've been in the industry for a while. I always had my own business. I never got well funded, but I did learn almost immediately that I could make people money. And there's an old saying, money makes blind men see. So I'm getting funded by guys, and I get an opportunity and introduce washable silk to America. And then I feel that they are stepping on the contract. I go into a huge lawsuit, really dumb on my part, since they had unlimited funds. And I couldn't work. I couldn't put a name on the label. And I'm just sitting there dying. And one day I get a phone call, and it's, "Hi, I'm a talent scout from QVC." And I'm thinking, I immediately said, "Who is this?" Like I thought it was a joke.
Right,
And
right.
they said, "It's me, I'm a talent scout, and we'd like you to come on air and design your own collection." Now, I knew other people that were doing it, so I knew it was being done. But I said, "I'm so sorry. Terrible timing. I'm in the middle of a lawsuit. I can't put my name on a label, a full name." And she said, I'll never forget it, "Oh, that's no problem. We'll just call you Diane." Oh, okay. That started my TV career. So I brought washable silk to television, to QVC. Then I got an opportunity about a year later to have a lot more creative freedom and guidance and say in what I wanted to put on air through HSN. So I took that leap of faith, even though they were smaller. I had, once again, to rely on myself, believe in my talent, and believe that getting my talent across in a pure manner was more important and going to be more successful than being with a larger entity that needed more control. And so
Right.
I'm cruising along with washable silk and we're doing really well, but I never wore the washable silk because in the 60s and early 70s, I dressed rock stars in embellished denim, hand painted, ripped, torn, patched, jeweled, you name it, I did it. And it was Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and Sly and the Family Stone and Deep Purple and Gracie Slick and on and on and on. And so I loved denim and I considered myself a blue jean baby. But
Well, let me ask you first though, were you a stylist or
no,
fashion
no, no,
designer
there
at the
was no
time?
such thing.
Just
No, there were no
right.
stylists back
Okay.
then. No stylists. I had a boyfriend who was a record producer, just digressing. Um, Went to the Sunset Strip on a Monday night to the Whiskey Go Go, which was dark, but was doing an audition for a possible signage to a record label. And the guy that I was going out with was from RCA. And out on the stage, and literally for a club that held 1,000 people, there were about 20 people in that club.
Oh wow.
And 10 record agents and their girlfriends, which we were all called their old ladies at the time. That was, you didn't say girlfriend. That was
Oh
not
my.
okay. All right. So we're in the club, and the stage is actually pretty small, about 6 inches high. And we are standing literally in the middle of the stage, half an inch away from the stage. Out comes a woman with bright red hair and a boa, a bright orange boa or yellow, and a bottle of Southern Comfort, and opens her mouth, and it's Janis Joplin. And
Wow.
after
Wow.
the audition, which, by the way, the guy I was with, my boyfriend, said, she'll never make it.
Oh.
Real
Oh
good
my.
call.
Yeah,
Good
right.
call.
Yeah.
She
Good
so
thing he's not a betting man.
But we're standing there. He was very conservative. We're standing there talking to her because everybody got a minute to talk to her. And she's like, looks at me, and I was wearing a jean jacket I had made into a total work of art. And I was particularly good at hand painting denim with acrylic paints. And she
Mm.
said, hey, man, your jacket is groovy. And I said, take it. It's yours. And
Yeah.
from that, I met other musicians, including Rod Stewart. I also hand painted on leather. So I made leather jeans that were hand painted. It was very cool. There were no filters. It wasn't this big wall between you and the executives of a record company. It was the artist and you. You were an artist, they were an artist. Maybe you had
Interesting.
something to trade, like a backstage pass for a concert.
Right,
That's
right.
how it all worked. Okay, so now fast forward. I'm 60 years old. It's 2005, and I, wait a second, yeah. So I am getting very bored, and boredom for someone like me is not good. And I know this is not what I want to do. I have this burning desire to make jeans for television, except nobody ever had. And they did not believe fitted garments, especially bottoms, could sell on TV where you couldn't see it, feel it, and touch it. At that point, we're still in the age of shopping,
Yes, right.
malls,
Right.
department stores.
Yep, yep.
So, the reason, other than a commercial reason, for making the jeans was because I saw a huge opportunity there that no one else saw. I couldn't wear a pair of jeans. I had a middle-aged body now. I'd gained 30 pounds, 35 pounds in all the wrong places. And so I searched and searched, couldn't find a jean. And one day just thought, how dumb are you? You're a designer. Take your body measurements, You know how to
Mm-hmm.
make patterns. Make a pattern based on your measurements. Go out and buy 3 yards of denim and make yourself a jean. So I had a professional sewing room in New York at the time, as many of us did in the design world. We made the jean. I wore it. It just revolutionized my life. I felt 30 years younger. More
Really?
active, more accepted. People started even treating me like I was more intelligent. It was unbelievable. They must think old people are like dumb. So I thought, okay, if this one garment could do that much for my self-esteem and for my general view of aging, what could it do for millions of women? Because that was my true forte, was figuring out what the customer wanted and giving it to them. I was not an egotistical designer with the attitude that many have. They'll take whatever I give them because I'm a genius. That was not my thing.
Right,
I
right.
didn't want to sell one evening gown. I wanted to sell millions of a product that I invented. So we had just gotten a female CEO at Home Shopping Network who had been one of the founders of Ralph Lauren Polo Jeans. She was the first to participate in status jeans. So I brought her the idea that the customer base was for sure 55 plus,
Right.
and I bet they were having trouble, and I bet they were like me, backed into a corner where all you could get was oversized hide me kind of garments, and I was always a look at me kind of girl. So she was super smart, and she was a big believer in talent, which I cannot say the same for a lot of the industry, either television or fashion. And she said, okay, I'm going to give you a chance, but I can't afford to lose $500,000 in an hour on prime time. It's February. I get February, freezing cold, dark outside till like 10 a.m. Sunday morning at 5 a.m.
Oh,
Who
goodness.
would be watching? Nobody. And better yet, I had a host. Oh my God. She was, and believe me, I've been up and down in my weight all my life. So it's just, I'm just telling the truth. She was a 4X, and
Oh,
she
wow.
was
Yeah.
screaming at me before the show. I hate jeans. I
Oh,
hate jeans. I've always hated jeans. They're disgusting. I'm not wearing these jeans on air. Well, you legally can't force a host to do anything, and they're not your employee. But if you don't have the host wearing the clothing in television, it doesn't look like the network believes in you or your product. And I'm like, please stop screaming and crying and just try them on. She
yeah.
wouldn't do it.
Oh, my
And we go
gosh.
on air, and it suddenly is like, hi, all you early birds. And we sold out of 5,000 pairs of jeans in three
Wow.
minutes. 3 minutes.
Are you kidding?
And,
Wow.
and I knew I had lightning in my hands. Nobody, the CEO recognized it. My business partners, not at all. They said, who would want to see, I quote, fat old chicks
Oh,
in,
yeah.
and they were all overweight,
Yeah.
in a jean, in a fitted jean? Well, at this point, I think we have sold 25 million. So I guess 25 million women wanted to see themselves in it.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
hit a chord. I hit a vein in the sensibility of the audience.
Let me ask you right there for a second. So what was the kind of the marketing there? What did you
I told
say?
them the truth. I fitted the garment on my middle-aged body, and I was gigantic through the midriff, had a spare tire, had a rounded tummy, had a shelf derriere, and and I always explain to them, I went to a series of anti-aging doctors, and I got all the statistics on how you age and how the weight comes off your thighs and goes into your stomach and goes onto your waist. And I said, this gene is unlike any other gene. It's made for you. It's customized for the middle-aged woman. We don't want a 20-year-old customer. We don't want a 30-year-old customer. We want you to feel good about yourself again.
Wow.
And it was meteoric. And so after about three or 4 years of selling and becoming number one fashion personality for tele-retail, I thought, and because I had also always traveled for fashion to Europe, to Paris, to London, to Milan. I thought, wait a minute. If all these doctors are right, aging is hormonal. Therefore, there's no female that, unless they don't survive their 40s, there's no female that isn't going to go through the change of
Right.
life. And the change of
Mm-hmm.
life is a demarcation point for this gene to be useful. So I turned around my little self and I went to management at QVC, which was international. And I said, please look at the numbers, look at the money we're making. When we do a special day of Diane Gilman DG2 Jeans, we were selling, ready for this,
Yeah.
25,000 jeans every 2-hour block.
Oh
It
my
was
goodness.
astounding. We were burning up the phone lines. I can't tell you how many times we
That's
burned down the
amazing.
call center and they had to start taking orders by hand because the numbers were not handleable. The computers weren't set for those. So QVC is incredibly conservative. And they said, nah, okay, all right. I said, so please give me a country where I speak the language, UK. Went to UK, immediately sold out, went to number one. Then went to Milan, sold out, set all-time sales records, immediately went to number one. Then they wanted to open Paris. They wanted to open France, and they asked me to be the first major fashion entity there. So I opened up France, and we were number one. And then Germany out of Dusseldorf. And then the shopping network out of Canada. And then the shopping network out of Australia. I think I
Wow.
got them all. Yeah, but that was my plan. I mean, I knew as long as it was biological, physical, that it was going to work, and it did. So the kicker was nobody wanted a substitute. Everybody wanted me on air. And so I was literally flying back and forth to Europe minimum of twice a month, if not 3 times
Wow.
a
Oh
month,
my
and
goodness.
flying to
Mm-hmm.
Florida for HSN and doing days where in 24 hours you got 3 hours of sleep, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so in when I turned 72 in 2017, I knew something was wrong and I was finally forced. I'm terrible at self-care. I just want to work. I just am like, the need to succeed is so strong in me. So I'm going and I'm going and I'm going and I'm going and I'm number one and it's really great. And then some, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. Something was really wrong.
Hmm.
Went
Yeah.
and got a sonogram. And I remember the first diagnosis was just terrible. It was, you've got cancer. You've got cancer everywhere. It's hopeless.
Oh my
What a
goodness.
screwed up thing to say to
What?
somebody.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
this is at the apex of my career. This is everything I've worked for my whole life is coming true. I'm famous. I get stopped all the time in public for autographs. Women want to tell me how I changed their lives so much for the better. Everything. Dreams come true happening, and then the nightmare.
Oh my goodness, what
So I had to
horrible
go on
timing.
air,
Yeah.
took a year off, tell them I had another job saving my life, and as soon as I was over that job, I'd be back. Did chemo, did radiation, did a double mastectomy in between shows. I came
Wow.
back way before the double mastectomy. They wanted me on air again 8.5 months later.
Yeah.
I literally had my last radiation treatment in the basement of Mount Sinai Hospital with a packed suitcase, went straight from there to LaGuardia,
Oh my
and
goodness.
from there straight on air. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my attitude was changed. I think when you face mortality, you ask yourself a lot of questions.
Right.
And a lot of truths come to the surface that have been buried. And although I was and I must say, when I returned, my God, the audience is so faithful. They're so incredible. When I returned, I did a Thanksgiving Day show, which is great because everybody's home in a turkey coma
Right.
and the women don't want to watch football. They just want to shop.
Yes.
We sold almost 250,000 jeans in one
Oh
day.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow. That is
they
remarkable.
came back to me with a vengeance. But I wasn't all in. And I thought to myself, life is so precious and you fought so hard for it. Is this what you want to do the rest of your life? And the answer was no.
Hmm.
I'd done fashion for 50 years. I could have gone on doing it, but I felt fashion had lost its buzz. I felt that fashion as a whole was on a treadmill, very repetitive, nothing new. It's the same old thing. You just wait 10 years and you bring out the
Right.
same old pieces again because the younger generation hasn't seen them yet.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Shall I
Oh,
just?
that's okay. Keep
Okay,
going. I'm
so
fully intrigued. Yes, keep
I
going.
asked myself, was I insane? Because I was number one, which I loved, and I was making an exceptional living. And the answer was, yeah, I'm sure. And I asked myself a couple of questions. Number one, what was the essence of you in your youth that made you knock down every barrier? And the answer from me to me was, I was courageous. Number two, I
Yes.
believed in
Yes.
myself when
Mm-hmm.
no one else did. And frankly, hardly nobody ever believed in me because talent is
Okay.
so ethereal. And the second question is, what can you take with you from your career in fashion and television? And the answer was, I'm so comfortable with public speaking and being in front of a camera. And here we are, and it's the age of podcasts. And I think I can do it, but I don't know. And how
Right.
would I break in? And how does all that happen? I did it. I left December 31st of 2022. And January 1st, I said, you are certifiably insane. Oh my God, what have you done? It had been the first day. The only other time in my life I had ever not gone to work was during cancer treatment. And I remember at the beginning of chemo, I thought, this isn't half bad. I mean, you can like watch trashy movies all day. I'm
Right.
kind of liking this, but yeah, it wasn't all there was to it. So I'm like knocking around 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and thinking I've made the worst mistake of my life. I am not a retiree. And the
Mm-hmm.
phone rings again. And who is it? It's a guy that had watched his wife love me on HSN. She went to him and said, oh, Diane Gilman's leaving, and she'd be great on your podcast, darling. And so he said, do you want to be my co host? And I thought, yeah, I want to see what it's like. So he allowed me to choose my own guests, the poor guy. I chose nothing but women with female, female point of view, female problems, female solutions. And after about 4 months, 5 months, I thought it's totally unfair to him.
Right.
And I might be better off standing on my own. So we started Too Young to Be Old, and we shot to whatever rating system they have on YouTube. I think we're in the top 10. And then the audience wanted fashion, so I started a second podcast, Fashion Thursdays with Diane. And then I just opened my own Amazon store because I buy all my facial products and everything off that and blah, 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 blah. And it all starts to get interconnected. And
Yes.
a couple of
Right.
things I love about it, and I'll bet you do too. You get to meet so many people and they're so interesting.
Right. I
Oh
know
my
that's very
God,
true.
I
Yeah.
loved that.
Yeah.
When I was at the studio, it was the same people all the time. Okay. So I loved that part of it. I loved setting goals for myself. Like I would listen to all the top female news anchors, like Rachel Maddow, and I would pick up from them how they sat, how they dressed, how they spoke. And what I realized was I was leading a stimulating life again. Just
Right.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because it just keeps on going, I was contacted by somebody from Hollywood, a screenwriter who wants to write a screenplay of my life, and maybe we make it into a Lifetime movie or something. I've had an insane life. So now I'm in the middle of doing that and
Oh,
co-writing it.
fantastic.
But I also got contacted by an international women's group who does an anthology book every year, goes on Amazon. And it's about women who have overcome a major crisis in their life. For me, it was cancer, breast cancer.
Right. Right.
And you
Absolutely.
write a 7,000 word chapter. And then they said, we put out a magazine every time we launch the books. We'd like you to be on the cover of the magazine and be the inside cover story. And now I just got an invitation from them to fly to London and be a keynote speaker at their Women's Summit. So,
Wow.
all
Fantastic.
these old sayings that I hated and I thought people were so annoying for saying them, like one door closes and another one opens, are actually really the truth. And if I had not taken a leap of faith, all this great stuff, all this stimulated learning and meeting incredible people and new opportunities would never have happened.
Right, absolutely. It seems like that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's interesting though that you had that kind of pivot in your life, which and that you saw it for that and were bold enough to do it, because
I've
a lot of
always been
people,
I've always
yeah,
been bold. Yeah,
that
but
is good. Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
go through a bold disease that wants
Yeah.
to exterminate you like
Yeah.
cancer,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you will look at things differently on the other side. And so the other thing I realized was I was so grateful to be alive. But most people from their 60s onward are depressed,
Yeah.
feel that their life is over with, feel they have no power to change it, feel they have no inspiration to find how to reinvent themselves. And the one thing that really I think was the biggest motivator was one day I was sitting in a chemo room. I was in a drop-in clinic in a hospital, Mount Sinai in New York, um, called the Dubin Clinic, and it was beautiful. It was founded by a female, Mrs. Dr. Dubin, Eva Dubin.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really all female point of view. White orchids in your recovery room after chemo, a catered gourmet lunch, your own personal masseuse,
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
not kidding.
Yeah.
It was really a female point of view, how to
Right.
make chemo more palatable. So I'm sitting in my chemo room and I'm slightly bored and I'm like halfway through chemo. I'm into the really uh dangerous heavy chemo. They
Hmm.
started out with
Right.
a more lightweight chemo, and you can see the other rooms, but you really can't see who's in them once they sit down. So I'm at the height of my career, and even in the hospital, I'm doing autographs and talking to people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
So suddenly, someone walks in, and this was the ultimate life changer moment for me. Someone walks in, and the nurse goes in and goes, "Oh, Sheila! Oh my God, we're so, oh, girls, Sheila's here. Everybody come on in." All the nurses go running to Sheila. So in my brain and from my world, I'm thinking, who is Sheila? She must be a news anchor or a
Right.
Broadway star or a soap opera star. Because why aren't I getting that attention?
Yeah.
I'm the queen
Yeah.
of jeans. So eventually the nurse comes in to me and I said, "I want to know something. Is this woman and why did you offer her 4 lunches? You guys didn't even offer me a lunch." And she said, "But Diane, you never eat lunch." And I said, "Yeah, but it would be nice to offer me." She said, "Okay, Diane, so do you want lunch today?" And I said, "No, thank you, but I do want to know who that woman is. She must be famous. All of you know her. You're all so excited to see her. You're all falling all over yourselves over her.
Right.
Who is she?" The nurse looks at me like I'm slightly crazy and pretty obnoxious. And she said, "No, Diane, she is not somebody famous. She is a battered wife living in a homeless shelter because it's too dangerous to go home. Her husband will kill her. And she has is having a very rough time with chemo, and her
Wow.
shelter, the meals they make are so horrible. She goes for days without eating. So we give her every extra sandwich we have. And this today happens to be her favorite, mozzarella and dried tomatoes on ciabatta bread. I started crying.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
thought to myself, first of all, what a complete jerk I was. But second of all, the fact that cancer is a great teacher, cancer is a great leveler, um, and that you are no longer special, and cancer doesn't care if you live in a penthouse on Fifth Avenue, or if you're on tele-retail, or if you're on Broadway, or you're just part of that cancer community. It leveled everything out for me. It totally changed my values. And I thought to myself, there but for the grace of God go I. We,
Hmm.
I could
Wow.
be the homeless woman. I could be the
Right.
shelter woman. And then when Princess Kate in UK, I
Right.
just happened to have the TV on and she came out with her announcement. By the way, wearing a pair of jeans. I thought that was really telling. And
Yeah.
I thought, whether you are a princess or a pauper, we
Hmm.
are all part of a female community and we should be supporting one another. And so I decided that was a huge part of my mind shift to want to give back and to want to help women at every stage of life who are less fortunate than I am, who don't know tricks like I do, who don't have the
Hmm.
advantages I had, how to age better, how to age smarter, how to make the most of the precious years of your life. And they were certainly precious to me after I came out of treatment and surgery. So that's where I'm at today. You know, I came out of 2 youth obsessed, completely materialistic professions, television and fashion. And now I want to be able to use my skills and my audience base for a much higher purpose. Now, I'm not
Wow.
Mother Teresa, trust me, but I I do have pretty pure intentions.
Oh, I love that. So, wow. So currently, you're doing all these podcasts as well, right?
Yeah,
And the name and the podcast where people could find you, what's the name of it?
too
Is
young
it Too
to be
Young to
old.
Be Old?
And yeah, I have
Great.
my own YouTube channel, and I'm so proud of that. And yes, it's all about, mine is all about aging, including aging healthier. And if you're not healthy, maybe holistic and alternative points of treatment to add on to your treatment. And I'm very, very determined to make it a 360-degree view, including fashion, for Fashion
Mm-hmm.
Thursdays with Diane, also on YouTube, and usher in a new era of how older women are perceived and treated, and the opportunities we should be afforded, and the roads we're going to have to pave ourselves. But it's all about reinvention. And so that's another reason why when I came out of chemo, I had no hair, but I decided when I grew it back not to put chemicals on my scalp, but to also walk the walk and talk the talk and be natural. I'm not trying to fool anybody with my age. I'm trying to say, hey, guess
Right.
what? It's actually pretty great, but it's not a free ride. You got to work at it, but you can make the work fun.
And what would you, so a lot of our listeners are in that same category of 50 plus.
Yeah.
I'd say the majority are. What are some things that you would say to them, some tips that you would say, or how they can kind of age with grace and, in a way that is still allows them to live with gusto at that age?
Very interesting. I flew out to Los Angeles last week to do a major network interview, short interview, 10 minutes long. But the two anchors were great, both female, both in, I would say, early 40s, late 30s. Both of them in the commercial break said, Diane, you've got to help me. My mother just turned 65. She just retired. She's so depressed. She feels useless, rudderless, has no idea what to do with the rest of her life, feels her life is over with. And then I did a podcast Saturday with Fox News out of
Mm-hmm.
Florida. And she said during the commercial break, Diane, you've got to help me. My mother just
Oh
turned
my
65.
goodness.
So, okay. So, what I'm trying to say is
Mm-hmm.
people are so scared. Women are so scared of aging that they
Yes.
don't ever admit they're aging. And then suddenly it's there, the cutoff point for their, I would say, first career, and they're not prepared. So, first thing I would say to you is you are no longer middle aged and you are no longer young. So, stop trying to go back to what you once were. Find
Hmm.
out, and
Right.
only you can tell you. Find out who you are right now. Second of all, biologically, proven medically, your 70s, for both men and women, are the happiest years of your life. It's proven medically. You can look at it
Really
anywhere. Yeah.
interesting.
Statistically true by overwhelming percentages. So the third thing is you are going to have to reinvent yourself. And the problem is, and I certainly had that problem, and my demarcation point was at 73, 74 after coming out of chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who do you want to be? Now,
Interesting.
I would
Yes.
say don't ever think about going back into the corporate world. They will devalue you, they will reject you. That is not where you have to be. But ask yourself the questions I asked myself. A, who do you want to be? I wanted to be useful, purposeful, charitable, and form a community for aging smarter and living longer. And then ask yourself where you're going to begin in reinvention. Keep yourself busy. You're going to be your biggest project. Seriously.
I
And
like
guess
that.
what?
Yes.
We are so isolated and so, I mean, I always feel like there's one of me and a million of everybody else, but we're going to feel better if we start to form a community. And there's so much we can do. Yeah, I cannot run a 35-mile marathon anymore, but I can bring a lot of useful information to people. I can inspire them. I can give them aspirational goals to reach. And that's where you need to figure out where is your inspiration. And I will say that I think the majority of people that go through life are not as fortunate as I was. What I did, both fashion and television, I had an absolute passion for. I loved it. Loved it. But I was ready to go do something else. And do you want to know something? I was right. I I will live longer and sharper and more useful and aware because I challenged myself and I'm doing something where I'm learning every day and makes my heart beat fast when I go into
Right.
doing a
Right.
podcast because I love it so much. I'm so passionate. I found my passion again.
Exactly.
And for many people who've had a career that was safe and corporate and it's over with now, okay, so it's over with. Good. Now you're free.
Right. Now
Not
you
to
can
live your
actually
life
go
to your
after that passion.
children, but find your passion. So I will tell a very short story that I heard from a guest. She said that a woman had spent a great part of her middle age taking care of her husband who was ill. Her husband, and so her husband was in the hospital for a long time and then was like in a hospice thing for a long time, but the hospice thing was in the hospital. So she was an avid gardener. She loved it. And every time she went to visit her husband, she would bring a bouquet of flowers she had grown. Pretty soon the room is sort of full of flowers. And one day the nurse walks in and says, "Would you mind? Your husband has so many flowers. Could we just take a couple of these down to the children's floor? Because the little kids are so depressed and this is going to make them feel like they're outdoors." And she said, "Sure, go ahead." So this goes on for a while. And then I think the supervisor comes to her and says, "Those children and their parents love these flowers so much. Would you consider like making 5 bouquets a week for the children's floor? And here's what we'll pay you." And she says, "Sure." And then her husband is in hospice and he passes on. And then the hospital comes to her and says, "We miss your flowers. We would like to have a contract with you and get 15 or 20 bouquets a week and put them in our gift shop. Everybody loves them." And then they become a bestseller. And now she
Wow.
has a national business where she supplies flowers, bouquets to hospitals for the gift shop.
Wow.
And
What an
that is
amazing
a
story.
perfect example.
Yeah.
The other example I have is a woman who loved baking for her kids. All the kids grow up, all the kids move out, the husband passes away, and she starts making the cookies for bake sales for the church. And then someone comes to her from the town and they own a bakery and they say, "Your cookies are just unbelievable. Would you make cookies for us?"
Yeah.
So you see,
Yeah.
women who just got into it because they were following their hearts. I personally feel that, and my proof is DG2 Jeans, which were so wildly successful. I love jeans. They were the heart of me. They were my youth. They were everything. And when I followed my heart, wow, my whole world
It
just
all opened up.
expanded by like unbelievable numbers. So you can do it. And maybe if you're someone who loves to read books, you wind up donating your time at the local library every Saturday for, underadvantaged children, reading to them. But really ask yourself, what do you love doing?
Hmm.
And then set out to do it.
Yeah, it should be that you have several chapters of your life, and it's a great opportunity. Now, let me ask you, do you still wear jeans all the time?
All the time. As
Oh,
a matter
good to
of
hear.
fact, yeah, as you truly, and I'm almost 80. So I'm packing for London. Of course, I'm a complete maniac. I'm packing like a month ahead of time, but we've got a ton of photo shoots and a
Yeah.
keynote speech to do, and so it's complicated. Um, and of course, what is the basis of the bottoms? It's a pair of jeans because they are the international fashion passport to the entire world. If I wear a really
Yes.
tailored blazer, a status scarf, a good layering piece, and a pair of jeans, cool pair of shoes,
Yeah. You're
London,
set.
Paris,
Yep.
you name it, and certainly New York and even LA, going to LA last week. That is all you need. But
I
you
love
got to get
that.
jeans that fit, and nobody wants to make nobody wants to make clothing, not even for old ladies, for even middle-aged women. It is, and it's part of the reason why the fashion industry is struggling, is we are not invisible.
Right.
Actually, America is a graying nation. 51% of America is over 50. And the
Wow.
only thing you ever see on cable TV is the assumption that you are in decline and going to be very sick and need drugs. And that, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And so why would you need a pair of jeans? That's so true. That's
Well,
terrible.
we don't
Yeah.
want to dress you. We just want to remind you that all this shitty stuff is going to happen to you, and you need our drug company.
Right. Yes. Every commercial is a drug company.
Ah,
You're right. I
yeah.
know. So, so true. Well, this has been such a joy. So,
Thank you.
oh my goodness, absolutely loved it. Yes. And so if people want to reach out to you, Instagram or website,
They
what's the
should,
best way?
yeah, the Instagram, TikTok, which I absolutely love. I'm very sad about TikTok. Um, I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook, and they can get me at thedianegilman.com, all in low caps, one contiguous
Perfect.
word, or go to YouTube. But I also have my own website, thedianegilman.com. Yeah, there's where I'm really catching up, is all the electronic social media stuff. But who would have thought I
Oh, I
could
know.
watch
It's
baby
insane.
kitten videos at 3 a.m. in the morning on TikTok? What am I going to do if they close it down?
Exactly. It's a whole new world with it. Well,
Totally.
thank you so much, Diane. This has been such a pleasure.
It
Thank
was
you for
great.
being with
Oh, well,
us.
thank you for inviting me.